Hello, whistleblowers everywhere. Today's tune breakdown has been a request, and the tune I'm going to do is a reel, very popular reel called the Banshee. So, as usual, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play it through first without any ornamentation, except for separating the notes, which are the same, by using some cuts. Again, I'm going to play it at 60, which is fairly slow, so you can get an idea of how the tune flows. Then we'll look at some basic ornamentation, some rolls, some taps, that kind of thing. And then lastly, what we'll do is we'll have a look at some variation. And there's lots you can do with this tune, but I'll just give you a few ideas of what I like to do in terms of variation. So here we go. This is the Banshee. First of all, basic version with the music at 60. So here's the Banshee at 60. Now I'm counting it in cut common time in 2/2. So each click is going to be 2 beats. So it's going to go 1, 2, 1, 2. Bam, ba, 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 bam. So we're counting it in cut common. Yeah, it's where you would naturally tap your foot. So here we go. Set my click. 1, 2. Okay, so let's have a closer look at some of the ornamentation we can put in. So the first bar, we've got a quarter note or a crotchet G followed by a quaver G to the D. So there's two ways we can approach this. We can do a short roll and then cut the second G and play the D like this. So cut, tap, cut, D. I like to cut those two E's as well. So that's one way. The other way we can do it is to turn it into a long roll and join the crotchet and the quaver together. So the first way. Second way. And again, use one, use the other, use them both. Mix it up if you like, it's absolutely fine to do that. So, as we said, we've got the two cuts on the E to the D, cut the E to the D. So, then I'm going to cut the first G in the next bar. And if you want, and you want to be a bit fancy, you can put a little cran on that D. So the cran is a revision, middle, index, middle. I always like to tongue those crans because it's just easier to go. Just makes it a bit easier. So, first two bars. So So I'm cutting both G's in the second bar. So again, those first two bars. Now again, crown's quite a tricky ornament to get, so if you just want to play the normal D, that's fine. Okay, so bar 3. You can cut the high G if you want. And then the last bar, I'm going to cut the B. So put a short roll on that E. Remember, short roll is cut tap. So right, so the first line. Now, again, you can either short roll it or just leave it just as a cut on the G if you need to take a breath there, yeah? So yeah, if you need to breathe there, you can just put a cut on that E if you want, and then get that triplet. Okay, so the next line, we can do the same thing. We can either do the long roll on the G, or if you want, we can do the short roll and cut the second G. So, or, same thing, or, and then, or we could do, so lots of repetition in this second half, yeah? We have so short roll on the E going to the D. So let's play the whole of that A part now with the ornamentation we've got. So I'm going to do it really slowly first, and then I'm going to do it with the click at 60. Repeat. Now let's try it with the click at 60. 1, 2, 1, 2. again, like I said before, don't worry too much about getting all the ornaments in. The most important thing is to get the tune correct with the right rhythm so it flows. And especially that cran on D, it's an optional thing, and a lot of whistle players never use crans at all. Me primarily being a piper, I tend to use them quite a bit because I just like the sound of them. But as I said, you can just play that D straight if you want, or yeah, it's absolutely fine. The thing with ornaments, use what you want. You don't have to ornament everything. You can play a very simple version. In fact, you could play like this. I just used a couple of long rolls and a few short rolls. So again, yeah, how much ornamentation you want to put into a tune is entirely up to you. And yeah, you can use as much or as little as you feel. Right, so let's go and have a look at the B part now and see what we can do in terms of ornamentation with the second half. So same with the B part, I'm going to play pretty much stick to what's written on the page in terms of notation, and then once we've gone through that with some ornamentation, we can have a look at a little bit of variation we can put in. So the B part. So I'm going to start the first bar on the third line, and we've got some cuts to separate. Now you can either separate them with cuts or taps. I use cuts because it gives a bit more of an accent. But you can equally go. It gives it a slightly different way of separating. You decide which you like. It's up to you. Cuts or taps, or mix them up if you want. So the next bar, again we got separation by cuts with the B. Now we've got a crotchet B or a quarter note B, and again, like the G, we can play it as a short roll and cut the second B, or we can tie them together and turn it into a long roll. So the second bar on the third line. Sorry. Or we can turn it into a long roll. Not much difference, but it's a subtle difference, and again, choose which one you want to do, or use them both. When you come to the repeat, you could always change it up the second time around. Right, so let's slowly play through the first two bars on the third line. Now playing it as a separate crotchet B, and then cut the next B. So that second bar again, as a long roll, as a short roll with cutting the B for separation. Right, bar 3. Again, we've got the same thing. We can either do a long roll or we can do a short roll and separate. Or we can play. Subtle difference, but they are slightly different, yeah? So. So, short roll and cut, long roll. So, subtle difference, but yes, you can decide which one you like. And then the last bar, again separating the B's with cut and a long roll on the B at the end. let's do the whole line very slowly, whole of the third line. So first part of the B section. So there I played them as long rolls. Now let's play it as a short roll with a cut to separate those notes. So again, you know, try them out, see which one you like. So the last line, again, we've got repetition. Now that's slightly different. So what I'm doing is separating the two A's with a cut, and then I've got a cut on the high G. Yeah, I've just noticed on the music someone's missed a bar line out. So anyway, don't worry about that. Yeah, so after those eighth notes or quavers, there should be a bar line, but for some reason it's not here on the music, but imagine that there is one. So let's do those again. So where the next bar should be, so that's pretty much the same. In fact, it's exactly the same as the second bar on the third line. Second bar on the fourth line is pretty much exactly the same. So or again, turning into a long roll. Okay, so the final two bars. You can put a little cut on the G. And then the last bar. And again, short roll. Last two bars. So slowly, let's play through the whole of that B part. Okay, now with the metronome at 60. 1, 2, 2. Right, so that's the A and the B part. So next part of this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them together at 60 and play through each part twice. Once I've done that, we'll have a look at some variation we can include. Okay, so let's put the A part together with the B part at 60 with the ornaments that we've already done. So 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, so that was 2 times each part at 60. So now let's have a look at some of the variation that we can put in here. As usual, I'm not going to go too crazy with the variations, just a few little variations here and there. Okay, so let's have a look at the first part and some variations that we got. So let's have a look at the first couple of bars. So what's written? So what I like to do, so long roll on the G, and then instead of playing, I play a long roll. So put that together. And then long roll on the G again. So those 2 bars. What's written first? Now with the variation. And again, if you want to put that crown in, you can do on that D. So, next 2 bars. So let's have a look at, again you can long roll. So I like to change that slightly. So the last bar, and what I like to do, so it's a subtle change there. So let's have a look at the whole of that first line with the variation. So the next bar, you can either do the same thing, or I like to do a series of short rolls. Yeah. Or you could go. So. So let's try that very slowly with the variation. First time I'll play it through as written, second time with the variation. The other thing I put in on the 3rd bar and on the 3rd bar each time on the 1st and 2nd line, where we got that, I like to put a little and you can even make it a little staccato. So a couple of ideas there for some variation. Right, the B part. So what's written? So what I sometimes like to do is maybe a long roll on the A. So I've got a long roll on the A, then I go to an E, long roll on the G, and back to the E again. So we're changing some of the notes there and certainly changing up the note values. So So written. Now with the variation. So just making a few little changes there. Right, so bars 3 and 4. So what's written? What I like to do, so I'm going E, B, and then short roll. And then doing what's written. So let's try the whole of that line with the variation. So. You can hear its speed, it does sound pretty nice. So the last line, again you can either do the same or you could go which is 2 short rolls on the A. So, sorry, not 2 short rolls, it's a short roll, cut the A to the E, short roll on the G, cut the G to the E. And then we can put that little triplet. Okay, so let's do that last line with the variation. Okay, so the whole of the B part. Right, so there's some variations for you. Let's play it through twice. So the first time I'm going to play each section. First time I'm going to play the first section as written, and then A section as variation, B section as written, and B section with a variation. So I'll do it at 60. 1, 2, 1, 2. So that's my tune breakdown for the Banshee. As with everything else, it's up to you how you do it. It's up to you if you want to use variations or you don't. It's up to you if you want to use certain ornaments or you don't like certain ornaments. Make it your own version. You can play it as simple or as ornamented as you please, but just on a word of caution, if you over ornament stuff, sometimes the tune can get a bit lost, and the most important thing of course is the melody. You don't want the melody to get too obscured by ornaments here, there and everywhere. So yep, in certain cases less is more, and even if you just want to use a few ornaments, that's absolutely fine. In fact, if you don't want to use any ornaments at all, that's fine as well. But do have a play around with it, and with the variations again, you don't have to use them. They're just some of my ideas that you can use to make the tune a bit more interesting for you as a player, especially if you're playing it through 4 or 5 times. It can get a bit samey if you're doing the same thing every single time. So have a go at your own variations and see what else you can pull through. It's about evolving the tune, and certainly when I first started playing this tune many years ago, I don't play the same way that I played it. It's evolved, and that's good. The tune should evolve as your playing evolves. So if you found this video helpful, if you found my tutorials helpful, then I would really appreciate it if you could subscribe to my Whistleblowers YouTube channel. There's always going to be updates as and when I can. I've got another request to do a tune. Again, it's another reel which will happen shortly, and yes, so I'm also going to do some popular session tunes. I'm going to do, again, these won't be tune breakdowns, but they'll just be popular session tunes played through a couple of times, first slowly, second medium, and then at full tilt. And this is really for people who want to have a go at playing along with whistle and a barrel accompaniment, just to help them with their practice and maybe help them to get know some tunes. Sometimes it's a bit easier to learn a piece of music with just a whistle and a rhythm accompaniment rather than having fiddles and accordions and pipes and banjos and what have you going on as well. So hopefully you'll find that useful too. So that's it for today's tune breakdown of the Banshee, and I'll leave you with my version of how I play the Banshee. So here we go.